today, where you boys always have something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Nicholas Blaylock.
And I'm your host, Adam Peddle. And today, guys, Danny Jansen is absolutely shocking the Blue Jays, and we've got a report on it, and we're going to present it to y'all, and as well as every spring training update with your Toronto Blue Jays. Before we get into it, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel and become a YouTube member so you can get some cool perks and accolades. All right, let's start off right away with the Danny Jansen shocking news. We had a tweet come out today by Rob Longley, and it's a video of Danny Jansen taking some BP, saying Danny Jansen says he's added weight and feeling strong. He's certainly turned some heads in the cage this morning, and that's got to be encouraging news, Nick, from you to hear.
Absolutely, dude. And I mean, for all of those Yankee fans and everything like that in the comments, I think that this is good weight that they are referring to.
This is good weight.
This is the muscle weight that you want to see. Our boy Danny Jansen showed a lot of promise last year. He showed why, when he was coming up to the major leagues, everybody referred to him as a great hitting catcher, which was just so ironic and funny for the first 3 years of his career.
Right, because he wasn't.
Because let's face it, he was pretty meh when it came to the hit.
It was meh to average for a catcher.
Yeah,
for a catcher. But you're starting to see in the last few years hit another stride.
100%. Especially last season.
Last season, even the season before that, right at the end, he started working a lot with Bo Bichette. When Bo Bichette came to the team, he really kind of changed his mentality with hitting. He really focused on hitting. Because, look, we talk about defense and hitting, how there's many factors, games you got to focus on. The defense part of his game was pretty much taken care of.
100%.
You know, he's a really good defensive catcher. But now you can see the results of his offense, and especially the power. I did the math earlier this morning when I saw him hitting some bombs in BP. If he played 400 at-bats, which last season he didn't, he only played about 215. If he played 400, which is pretty good for a catcher, you're playing all year long, maybe you're playing some time, he would have hit 27 home runs last year. He was on pace for that. That's Matt Chapman numbers in less at-bats, so it's really encouraging.
No, absolutely, dude. And I mean, Danny Jansen, 855 OPS, a 141 OPS plus last season. I don't think you can take anything away from what he did last year at the plate. Now, the one thing, and the reason why, I'm not 100% sold on the fact that Danny Jansen is going to come out blazing hot, with the batting average, with everything like that, is because it was a shortened sample size, because only 215 ABs. I mean, we've seen time and time again players come out, they have an incredible first half or something like that, and then they fall off majorly, right? Basically 215 ABs is effectively, the 2020 shortened season. It's for a regular player who plays every game, right? Just a little bit more than that. So
Right. I will say, if you take a look at the last 2 years, because he was hurt last year, he was hurt the year before.
Right.
But if you take a look at his last 2 year sample size, almost makes up to that 400 ABs, 399, just one less. That's still a 124 OPS, an 817 OPS. That's better than what Bo Bichette did in terms of the OPS just last season. So, but here's my question.
Right.
Now that you got Alejandro Kirk, he's one of the guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Danny Jansen is a guy too. You bring in Brandon Belt as a lefty. You want to get him some ABs in that DH spot. Where are they going to find the time to get people like Danny Jansen enough playing time?
I mean, I don't know, man, but I think that you just need to make it happen, right? And especially with these reports, right? I guess to finish that thought of I wasn't so sure. I mean, I'm getting more sure with the fact that Danny Jansen clearly put the work in this offseason. That's what you need to do, right? That is what you need to do. If you want to become an elite hitting catcher in the league, you prove that you have the capability last year, follow that shit up with a good offseason, right? So he's showing right now why he wants those at-bats, so good on him for doing it. And I mean, if he comes out blazing hot like he did last year, then we have to give it to him. I do believe, truthfully, that it's Kirk, Danny Jansen, they are higher on the totem pole than Brandon Belt. They are part of the core. Brandon Belt is not part of the core.
Look, I've said this time and time again. I like the lefty-righty idea because it splits up the pitcher's focus a little bit. But if you do got to string a couple righties down in the bottom part of the lineup, especially if one of those righties is Danny Jansen hitting those many bombs, you got to give it to Danny Jansen. 100%. I don't really care, especially if Belt starts to struggle. And he's on Brandon Belt of pass.
Again, Brandon Belt 100% has the opportunity to earn that role, right? It's if he does what he did back in, I think it was 2019, 2020, where it was 900 OPS, just incredible stuff, even MVP conversation, then yeah, of course. Sorry, Danny, sorry, Alejandro Kirk, this is Brandon Belt's role. But I think off of the top, based on what Danny Jansen has contributed to this team, based on what Alejandro Kirk has done, that's the kind of their job to lose until Brandon Belt, proves otherwise.
Yeah, I think this is a great problem to have, folks. Not, we're all complaining about how we're not going to have enough good hitting.
Yeah.
I personally think we're going to be just fine, even after losing Silver Slugger, Teoscar Hernandez, and the Lord.
Keep shocking people at spring training, Danny. We are going to be watching you. We're in your camp.
Absolutely.
Looking at a few other guys here during spring training that are like just really turning some heads. You got Nate Pearson and Trent Thornton, who are filling up the zone consistently. I mean, like, Trent Thornton is a name that I will be honest, guys, I'm happy that I haven't been thinking a lot about.
Of course.
Because back in the dark days when Trent Thornton was the ace of the Toronto Blue Jays, that was rough.
A bad time.
If he wanted to become a dude that could pitch out of the bullpen and maybe even games that we're down by. Like if we
like last year.
Exactly. It's like, then awesome. Give us an opportunity to maybe come back, right? Because that's something that the Blue Jays have struggled with 100% is we get down by like 3 runs. And because our bullpen has no depth in it, because we don't have these guys who are capable of like going long and like keeping us in it, well, we got to pull our starter early. We're down by 3 runs. We throw out these losers, right, who then give up more runs, and then we're down by like 7 runs. And of course, there's no chance that we can come back now. But if Trent Thornton decides to be good, if Nate Pearson decides to be good, and we can throw them into those situations, keep it a tight enough ball game for the offense to claw our way back into it, maybe there's a few more W's that we can scrape away that we wouldn't have in the years past.
For sure. And if Trent Thornton wants to fill up that strike zone, please do so. And especially if Nate Pearson wants to fill up that strike zone, because that's been obviously the problem, other than health, obviously, for Nate Pearson. Sure. It's the strike zone. It's the fastball command. That was never really there for Nate Pearson as he was brought up in 2020, 21, 22. I'm going to have a much larger breakdown video room coming out a little bit later this week, so stay tuned for that, talking about how Nate Pearson could be really good for the Blue Jays. But this is just a great sign to see overall, guys. Can we take it with a grain of salt, though? I mean, of course they're going to say good things about a bullpen session. I mean, there's a difference between a bullpen session and you're under the lights, your ERA clock is ticking, there's fans cheering and booing, and there's a batter standing there threatening to hit your pitches. Obviously very different.
Yeah, and I mean, you make a great point there with the clock, right? The timer. That is something that we have never seen in the major leagues before. How is this going to affect people? Are there going to be guys who used to be good, who are no longer good because now they're rushed? Honestly, like might need to make a few videos diving deeper into that as we move further into the season. Looking at some more updates from the Blue Jays and spring training. Bo Bichette came out today and he wanted to talk a little bit about his arbitration process. Basically effectively said that arbitration sucks and it's a flawed process, which I think we both come out on this podcast and said we agree with. It's stupid. It makes 2 people that are supposed to like each other not like each other anymore. And he's really happy that they did not need to go through that. They could get on the same page. And I tend to agree with him, dude. That was the biggest takeaway that I had from them signing this like 3-year deal right now. Is the fact that we don't have to do this again. We're on the same page. We want you to do well. We want you to earn your extension. You want to do well. You want to earn your extension. Come play with us for 3 more years.
Because I think Ross and Atkins learned their mistake when dealing with Marcus Stroman. 100%. How like that process wasn't good because you had to convince your star player, your homegrown star talent who loves the city of Toronto, that why he shouldn't be getting paid as much to play in the city of Toronto. So, it's a good point. They never have to do that ever again. So, and we were kind of talking here on this channel that like, what are the conversations going to be like when they get to spring training? This was when we were assuming that they were still going through the process or they just came out of that arbitration process. What is going to be the sour taste in Bo's mouth? Good thing is that there is no sour taste and we can move on and play baseball.
100%, dude. And I mean, you look at some of the best organizations right now in MLB, and I feel like this is just something that they're moving towards. Look at the Atlanta Braves, right? It's like
avoid all of that.
They just they don't even extend these guys, but they're like, Spencer Strider, you're good at baseball. We know that we're gonna want you for time. We have 5 years on your contract. Let's pay it right now.
Just pay it off right now.
Pay it right now. You never need to think about it. He's happy. He gets his money when he's young. You're happy. You get your pitcher locked, and you don't need to think about it anymore. It simplifies everything. I really want us to keep doing this more often.
I agree.
Maybe Alek Manoah next.
I agree. I think you got to take a page out of the Atlanta Braves book. I mean, they're doing it right because then if I'm a free agent, total side note, but if I'm a free agent, I look at the Atlanta Braves and see what they're doing. But crap, I'm going to sign a 4 or 5 year deal, and I know that I'm going to be playing with these guys for 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
It just looks way more attractive.
Absolutely, dude. Totally agree with you on that one.
And
speaking of Alek Manoah, actually, he had some words about last season, specifically how things finished off. Dude wasn't too happy with it.
No.
And I mean, let's face it, Alek Manoah came off of a fabulous season last year.
Yeah.
But in the playoffs, not so good. I mean, he let up 4 runs. He did not go very deep in that game. And that's just not indicative of who Alek Manoah is as a player. He came out and basically talked about that and said, hey, like, that's not me. I had a great season. Like, I had a bad game. It sucks that I put up a stinker in the most critical moments, obviously.
Right.
But he did have some actionable thoughts for himself moving forward. And I think the most notable one, for sure, because if there's one area of his game that we could improve a little bit, it's just tone down hitting the batters as much as you do.
Yeah, look, you got to be able to pitch inside to be an effective major league pitcher. I mean, you want to get the ball off the barrel. There's no other place to do that than inside. And obviously with his sinker, he was dealing with, he even admitted in a couple of interviews, he was dealing with a little bit of command issues because there is so much run and dip on that sinker that sometimes, and on the righties, it does plunk him a bit. So yeah, if I were to give him a critique, just to remove and improve in one part of the game, it is that part. Because, I mean, you saw it in the postseason, 2 of those hit batters did come around to score.
In runs,
and
maybe that changed the game.
Maybe it changes the game. Maybe it changes the batter's mentality. Now, we didn't lose by 2 runs, so lost by a little bit more.
But, I mean,
still.
Momentum is a real thing in sports, right? Who knows what could have happened had that not been the case, right? So, and Alek Manoah knows that. He came out and he said that. He said, listen, I need to be more effective. I need to be better in that area. So I love that he recognizes, like, this is a hole in my game. I know that I need to pitch inside. I know I need to be aggressive, but I need to be a little bit more consistently effective with where I'm pitching inside and make sure I'm not hitting.
And this just goes to show that Alek Manoah is a guy, you're talking about extensions. I want to extend that guy.
100%.
After he puts up Cy Young 3 in his 2nd season in the big leagues, he's not content. He wants to keep winning. I mean, there's a lot of drama around him. I'm sure it's a lot of an extra motivation going into spring training to absolutely prove people wrong. And the only way to do that is to get back to work. Well, and this is the work.
And I'll be honest, dude, like, Alek Manoah feels like a guy out there where it's like I mean, everybody loves their personal accolades. Everyone wants to win MVP. Everybody wants to win Cy Young. But I really do feel like with him, it's not 100% about that. It is about winning. It is about going far. It's about pitching in the World Series, putting up a gem, helping his team win, getting W's. I love that he's coming out and talking about this right now. I love that he reflected on that playoff loss, and hopefully that just makes him a little bit more hungry to come out, finish the job, win Cy Young, and then take us deeper into the postseason.
Dude, I can't say anymore. I love you, Alek, and I'm loving these spring training updates. So guys, you let me know in the comments down below. What do you think about these spring training updates? And if there's any news that we missed, please voice those opinions and thoughts in the comments down below.
Also, please hit the like and subscribe button, and $3 a month become a Patreon member. Shout out and thank you to every single one of these current Patreon members. You guys are awesome. And shout out to our new YouTube members. If you want to hop onto that, you'll get some sweet perks as well. So definitely take a look.
Guys, thank you so much for watching.
And go Chase, go!